Welcome back to Cool Storage Auction Finds, and today we're getting into the era of classic rock, hard rock and heavy metal. The origins of heavy metal and hard rock happen to come from Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin was one of the very first hard rock bands. Love their music, and here was a very rare album that was part of a small interior storage unit that we bought that contained quite a few records, and I actually ended up keeping some of the records, some of the vinyl, because it came from the era that I grew up in, 70s, 80s, and that kind of thing. But this was a really rare find because it had a promotional record that had Dusty Springfield on the A side, Led Zeppelin on the B side. Now, when in history would that happen, where Led Zeppelin would be on the B side of anything, right? So this is a very hard to find record. In fact, back then when I did my research, this is about 10 years ago, there was a list that had the top 50 rare Led Zeppelin albums, and this was in that list, and I believe it was in the top 10 of that list. So very rare because it was only a promotional album that was made for in-store play. In other words, this album was meant to be used to demonstrate record players when you were shopping for a turntable or a record player in a department store. So that was the only purpose of this album. It wasn't really meant for public distribution. It wasn't, produced publicly, so very rare album. Now, the only unfortunate thing was the condition, because record collectors are very picky, very, very persnickety about condition. As you can see, there's some tape residue here along the bottom. Looks like a label was removed, and that's really bad because it actually was over the Led Zeppelin cover. If this label would have been over here, it would have been better. Label up here, so it wasn't some more tape residue, so it wasn't really in the greatest condition, as you can see. But I ended up selling this on eBay about 10 years ago for 125 bucks. I really expected it to get more because of the rarity, but I think that the condition is what knocked a few points off of it. And then I just did a little bit of research, and I found a very similar one. Notice the awesome condition of this one. I mean, this one is just almost in new condition, and this one sold for 250 bucks in 2008. So about 3 years ago, it had gone. Well, I don't know if it went up in value, but I know that it sold for 250 in great condition. It sold for 125 when I sold it 10 years ago in so-so condition. And here's their description. Atlantic Records Ultra Rare Promo LP for Record Department In-Store Play. Excerpts from Atlantic LP Dusty Springfield and Memphis, as well as excerpts from Atlantic LP Led Zeppelin cover. Front slight wear from handling on bottom, slight fray on bottom, and top of cover spine intact. It says this, I believe, is 8 or 9 on the top 10 Zepp record collectibles list. You might say, well, if you would have hung on to that, it might have been worth more. But as we can see here, this one was in great condition, and it sold for about double. So I'm thinking that these have held their value pretty well. I don't think they've gone through the roof. If mine had been in this condition, I'm pretty sure I would have gotten at least 250, maybe even more than that. So anyway, the idea there was I paid either 125 or 175 for that storage unit. It was a small unit, and I made most of that money back with just this one record, this one rare Led Zeppelin record. And sometimes I wonder, should I have kept it, or should I have sold it? But at the time, there were no comparable eBay listings, and there was no pricing information on this record. So I was kind of taking a chance that it would make really good money and really be a home run. And so that's why I ended up selling it. I'm not a huge record collector anyway. I'd rather have the money, and that's what happened in this case. So anyway, sold it for 125, made back most of our money from that we paid for the storage unit, and we moved on down the road. All right, so I hope you enjoyed today's cool storage auction find of the day, the rare Led Zeppelin promo album. Be sure to hit the subscribe button just above this video if you're watching it on YouTube, to be sure to be alerted to any new cool storage auction finds videos, as well as other training and how-to videos about how to make money with storage auctions. Plus, I've created a full-blown master course on how to make money with storage auctions. Just visit storageauctionmoney.com to check it out there.